Check this. TPG says community health fears stopped its 5G rollout in Australia as experts blame disinformation campaigns on social media. Story by Jack Derwin. There's all the social media where you can catch his story and find out more about Jack. But let's have a look at this story. Could it be true? TPG Chief Operating Executive Craig Levy has told the federal court that the telco pulled its plans to roll out a 5G network in Australia due to community fears regarding the health impact of technology. Those fears have spiked despite bodies such as the World Health Organization stating there should be no risk to public health. In fact, 5G radiation should actually be safer than previous networks, according to research by Cornell University. Despite the science, however, a small segment of community appears concerned over the technology as the number of social media groups spreading disinformation grow, galvanising opposition to the network. Just like to go back a touch here. They're making out the World Health Organization is it's going to be safer than previous, the 4G to 1G, and they make out that they haven't caused any problem. I've said it before, go back to the 1970s when cancer was rare. The late 70s, the first G, 1G came out. Look at the cancer rates, how they've skyrocketed since, the turn into the 80s, and massively every decade after that. Is it every new G that comes out that's creating massive cancer? I say the number one attack to humanity, sure our food's being poisoned, our air's being poisoned by cloud-seeding chemtrails, but the number one thing to destroy humanity is frequency, phone frequency, whatever of these towers, whatever frequency it might be emitting, it disrupts our entire DNA and scrambles humanity. So to say what's it done in the past, that it's safe, just look at the last 40 years, 50 years or so, from rare in the 70s to cancer's an epidemic now. What's changed? I'll tell you what's changed. The G's. The massive change in anything is our phones, TVs, radios. The amount of frequencies we're now subjected to is huge compared to very little in the 70s. But the story goes on. The National Broadband Network, NBN, was kneecapped by a change of federal government and policy, and it's a veritable train wreck ever since. In 2018, fears of Chinese espionage dashed Huawei's bid to help roll out the 5G network here. Now, TPG is having to explain why it scrapped its own 5G aspirations, and it appears its hand was forced, at least in part, by fears from the community about health impacts of the technology. If people have concerns about the impact on their health, they are not just looking at our model in a positive manner. Chief Operating Executive Greg Levy told the federal court on Tuesday, as reported by the Sydney Morning Herald. TPG is in court fighting its blocked attempt by the ACCC to merge with Vodafone, and inadvertently, the case rests on whether or not TPG would bring the important infrastructure without a merger going forward. The telco has flatly claimed it wouldn't, so far citing a lack of commercial viability and now community opposition. You don't think there is any scientific rationale for this, do you? He then asked Levy. Levy responded that while it was not his area of expertise, the equipment they were using was well within the standard and is very much acceptable in terms of the standards. From what I've seen of a Panzer, they haven't said yes, it is safe. They've dodged the question with a whole lot of BS every time from everything I've read. Hodge then asked if there was some segment of the community that held an irrational concern about the effects of the small cells used in a 5G network. I wouldn't call it irrational. I think people have rational concerns, Levy responded. Rational, but perhaps a little unscientific. The World Health Organization has stated there should be no consequences for public health. Again, there should. No, say there is no. If there isn't, say it. But they won't. Because, as I said, from the first G till now, cancer has gone through the roof. Why? Because we're submitted to frequencies, subjected to frequencies we shouldn't be. It's destroying our RNA. That's another story. We'll go on. While research from Cornell University shows the higher radio frequencies used by the 5G networks are actually safer because they are less able to penetrate human skin. I think someone needs to jump in a microwave who's been saying this and see how they go. We'll pull them out we'll be fair and give them 20 seconds. That'd be good for them. Scientific. Who pays these scientists is the question. Where are they getting their money from? The science appears to have done little to allay fears in some section of the community, however. Levy claims that even the then telecommunications minister, Mitch Fifield, wrote to TPG warning that community members had come to him with concerns, while a current affairs segment had also helped galvanise opposition to 5G. It's like if anyone uses their brains and just has a concern, you're considered basically a nut job if you're not following the science. People don't follow the science now because they know the science is bullshit. Russian state media outlet RT, formerly known as Russia Today, ran a segment titled 5G Wireless, a Dangerous Experiment on Humanity. Has been viewed more than 1.8 million times on YouTube and claims that the technology's wireless radiation can cause DNA damage, neuropsychiatric effects and other health problems. American Fox News ran a similar segment, the host Tucker Carlson asking, are 5G networks medically safe? Vision from both segments and other disinformation have helped spawn an online campaign against the 5G network. Worldwide, there are hundreds of these groups according to Online Monitor and Global Disinformation Index, which identified that in the last few months alone, the activity and membership of these groups have swelled. Twitter, Instagram, a recent GDI report said the pages were created by groups and users in Australia, Denmark, UK, New Zealand, Scotland, Malta, Italy, Canada, Poland, Ireland and the United States, among others. So all these countries, they're all idiots. Yep, this entire world's an idiot, and it's great to see people are waking up. The growth of such groups has helped spread fears about 5G technology with much smaller turnout gatherings offline for information rights. While TPG has listed several reasons for pulling the plug on its new network, it has now testified that those health fears were a major factor. Well, people can make a difference, it seems. If this was safe, if something's safe, there's not a chance in the world would it be stopped. I don't care how much someone jumps up and down. If something's safe, the company will just say, look, it is safe. I'm going to jump in the microwave, stand in front of this monitor for one day just to prove our safety. I'm going to tape 20 mobiles, 20 5G mobiles to my head for one day. I'll prove it's safe. They don't do that shit. Why? It ain't safe.